Dear Pateka, as introduced in the first topic for the court processes in Tanzania mainland, in the second topic for the introduction for professional ethics for court process servers in Tanzania mainland, I am Richard Eustace Kabate, Principal Resident Magistrate, who is going to be responsible to take you through this particular topic. When we talk of ethics, ethics as its meaning, we are talking of the professional ethics. Professional ethics. There are two words here. The first word is professional, and the second word is ethics. So it appears that the ethics should be for the professionals. Therefore, when you talk of the court process servers, now we want to link the court process server to be part of the profession. Because he is a professional, then there must be some ethics to follow. The ethics, briefly, has been defined under the Oxford Learner's Dictionary, including the Black's Law Dictionary, but its meaning could simply be summarized that these are the minimal acceptable standards of living by professionals or by any other category which can call itself to be part and parcel of the professional class. So we are saying that because we are talking of the professional ethics for the court process server, it should involve the class. The professional should have its class. We have the profession of doctors, we have the profession of lawyers. Now, there is a professional for the court process server. That's why you are being taught on the do's and the don't for this category of persons, the court process servers in Tanzania mainland. Therefore, sincerely, so to speak, it has been made part of our legal framework. For us to understand whether it is part of our legal framework in Tanzania mainland, we see the court broker and the court process server appointment, the enumeration, and the disciplinary rules of 2017. Specifically at rule number 3, rule number 10, and rule number 14. If you read these rules, you will find that the legal framework in Tanzania has established the acceptable minimum standards where we expect the conduct, the minimal standards for the conduct of the court process server in Tanzania mainland. And the application is provided under the 2017 court broker and court process server rules. It is made as part of the form in the schedule to the rules, which could be referred as form number 4. There are several factors to be considered before a court process server is to be appointed as a court process server in Tanzania mainland. One of the factors is the fact that a person to be appointed must have a business license. And he must have an address, a place where he can operate his business for the court process serving. But also we are saying he should be a Tanzanian. You remember in topic number 1 I said that he should not be a lunatic. As long as he is not a lunatic, he is aged 18 years, and he has acquired the certificate for fluency in Swahili and English from the Institute of Judicial Administration, then he is eligible to apply and perhaps be appointed according to the wisdom of the committee for the court process servers. Apart from that, apart from the appointment itself, I was talking of the ethics. Because if things go wrong, that you have contravened the provisions of the rules, you have contravened the provisions of the rules under the 2017 instrument, there is a danger for the court process server to be charged before the committee. So we are making sure that we take you through for you to understand the rules, for you to understand the don't and the do's that could easily make you to perform the functions of the court process servers in Tanzania, mainland, without being caught by the end of the contraventions of the provisions of the rules. So the application process, as I said, we go to Rule 6, Sub-Rule 2 of the court broker and process server, appointment, remuneration, and disciplinary rules. It is under this rule, the criteria for you to be appointed, the contents of the application form should look like. Dear partaker, apart from the appointment, we have seen on how you should be appointed. We have seen whether you are qualified or you are not qualified. Now, having satisfied yourself that you are qualified, and through the wisdom of the committee, I've appointed you as a court process server in Tanzania mainland, and you have undertaken the performance of the work for the court process server. Now, if you have contravened the provisions of the rule, there comes the disciplinary committee, the disciplinary measures that are to be taken against a court process server who has went astray, who has went against the provisions of the rules. As I said from the beginning, that the fact that you are forming part of the professional, your behavior, your conduct has to be regulated by the committee. Your behavior has to be regulated so that you cannot tarnish the image of the court. That's why the court is very much interested to regulate the conduct and the behavior of the court process server. Now, because you are the professional, you have to regulate your behavior. Any class, any category of professional must have its own ways to regulate their behavior. If you go, for example, in the judiciary of Tanzania, we have a specific committee that regulates the conducts, the ethics, and behavior for the judicial officers. As judicial officer, if you contravene with the court, you'll be summoned by the committee for the judicial officers and the other relevant bodies that have been defined under the relevant law. If you go to the doctors, the medical people, they have their own. If you go to the advocates, they have their own. If you go to medicine, they have their own. Everywhere. So, for you as a court process server, the disciplinary measures are being provided under Rule 3, Rule 10, and Rule 14 of 2017 rules. So, having discussed the application process, when you have been appointed as a court process server, your tenure can only last in 1 year. But that is not the end. If 1 year has expired, you are entitled to make another application. You can reapply for you to be reappointed. Therefore, this process is being done through renewal you apply, you submit an application for the renewal of the license. If the license has been renewed, you continue for another tenure of 1 year. After expiration of that period, you go on applying for the renewal. But if anything goes wrong during the tenure of the period in which you are working as a court process server, the license could be revoked. If you have contravened with the rules, the license could be revoked. If it is revoked, then it means you are not entitled to perform the duties of the court process server, and you might be called before the committee for you to suffer the consequences for the breach of the rules for the court process server in Tanzania mainland. There are sanctions. While you are preparing yourself to apply, while you are becoming happy to apply that you have secured an employment to work as a court process server, you should be aware that there are several sanctions that might be imposed by the wisdom of the committee. If you have breached the rules, the committee could suspend you from working as a court process server in Tanzania mainland, or you could be reprimanded. You might be given a warning letter, or you can as well be charged before the committee, and if it's a criminal offense, then the criminal jurisprudence will take its course, where it will be taken before the court of law. Dear partaker, in conclusion, I should say that the court process server in Tanzania mainland is a class of professional. For you to form part of the professionals, you have to be ethical. Ethical in conduct. I am not saying that if you are not a court process server in Tanzania, you should not be ethical. But the manner, the conducts, the manner, the behavior of a person who is not a court broker on how they can be regulated is different from the manner we regulate professional. Therefore, for you to prosper as a court process server in Tanzania mainland, for you to form part and parcel of the court, for you to be an integral part of the court, you have to abide to the court broker and court process server appointment, remuneration and disciplinary rules of 2017. In doing so, everything will be all right, and the documents of the court will be served properly by the professionals of the court process server in Tanzania mainland. Thank you.